you may be coming towards burnout. Burnout can happen to anybody.
But I'm particularly interested in the stress that you observe at different stages of people's lives, but also the different generations that people are at. So that's a big, wide open question for you. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing that there is generational stress. There is, because sometimes there isn't a full appreciation and understanding where people are coming from. So the youth tend to want things done quick, and done yesterday. Older people, or whatever age, doesn't matter, it hasn't even got to be older people, but not that generation, would actually thinking to themselves, well, we'd like to do things one step at a time. So it's all down to the word communication, Alistair. Communication is key for everything, because every age group, every generation has something to offer. Different things, because they are a different generation, but every generation has something to offer. The question is, can we bring those generations together so they can value what each and every person brings to that particular subject? And listening. There's nothing more important. If you say to me, what is the one word out of all of this? It's to listen. And I would say probably the younger generation find it more difficult to listen because they've been brought up on phones and computers and Messenger and Skype and everything else that goes with it, and WhatsApp. So every single thing you can imagine, they're expecting instant gratification. When you send a message, something happens. I get to that point as well, but it shouldn't be really. Years ago, you used to send a letter, you used to put it in the post, put that little thing called a stamp on the corner, pop it in the post box, and you used to wait. I am amazed. I set up my business, my stress consultancy, in 1987. I am truly amazed how I could actually run what became a successful consultancy without computer, without telephone, without any apps. How did I manage it? Yes, I had a PA and I travelled around the country and travelled around the world, and I used phone boxes. It was extraordinary, but yes, it happened. So it's almost like...
By the way, for younger people, a phone box is now where you find books and other things, but there used to be a phone in there.
There used to be a phone in there. Oh, gosh, yes. There did used to be a phone in there. Now they are icons. Now they're left on the street. Purely, it's just like as a bit of an archive. But they did used to work.
I love the one at Covent Garden where they've actually made them into an art installation where it looks like falling dominoes, because that's all you can use a phone box for now, as a piece of art. But you touched on something there about the young, and they've got so many different things, and therefore to actually just sit and focus. And I get a bit annoyed when people say young people can't focus, because actually I think we've all become like that. They might have been the digital adopters where it was part of their DNA, but we've become that. We are now all on our phones constantly and so on. What's the difference between the stress that we're feeling with tech and with constant bombardment of information versus young people getting that constant bombardment? How does that manifest itself when it comes to stress?
As far as stress is concerned, I see too many people, youngsters, who are really so caught up with this expectation. There's an expectation from management. There's an expectation from peer group. Expectation that maybe you answer your emails at 6 o'clock in the evening, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the evening. We have actually become a society now of really raised expectations. We've raised that bar so high that it's really quite difficult to manage it. It's quite difficult to manage it because it seems to get higher and higher the whole time. So are we really listening and communicating as we go along? We give it, as you said, it doesn't matter if we're the younger generation, the older generation, there's still that pressure on us. What does that pressure become? Well, too much pressure becomes stress. And does that happen to anybody and any age group? Yes, it does. So therefore, in the time when you go to bed at night, instead of feeling tired, you feel exhausted, and you wake up in the morning when your batteries are not recharged, and then you get to the stage where you're just not feeling well in yourself and you're exhausted the whole time, you may be coming towards burnout. Burnout can happen to anybody, younger or older. Chances are it'd be younger because the expectations of them trying to prove themselves, trying to be all things to all people, which, as I said in the earlier stages, I've got to the stage where I can't be all things to all people. And I know that is the case. And for me to sleep at night, it's really okay. I can go to bed with 20 emails sitting there because they'll still be there in the morning. there is a pressure on younger people today to actually deliver. The competition is rife. Hybrid working comes into play. So those sorts of pressures are not the same as adults, not the same as the older generation who are looking at things like loneliness, lack of stimulation. We know that. The younger people, the youngsters do have that pressure on them. And it's difficult.
Would you say it's true that the younger people tend to spend more time comparing themselves to other people like them? And although we all have those stresses and strains, older people aren't doing that same level of comparison, so they don't have that level of stress to do that? Or is that something that's a bit of a work of fiction?
No, I think that younger people do have that stressor that older people don't have, because the older person will think, well, it's really okay, it's not a problem, I can do it tomorrow, and you don't need to accept me for who I am and have realistic expectations. When you're younger, you're really trying to prove yourself. You're trying to prove yourself either to be better or certainly to keep up with the competition. And if we look at social media, what is social media doing to us? It is really pushing ourselves. What's happening? What is going on? Who's doing what? And all your friends, inverted commas, your followers, not inverted commas, all your followers. So therefore, what I'm saying is that social media is really a driver. Older generation will use some social media, but not in quite the same way, not with the same freneticism that younger people do. You know, if you say to a group of teenagers, let's go out for dinner, they're all sitting around the table on their phones. I would say the older generation probably are not in the same way. So we have.
I think they are. We're getting worse.
Yes.
I was in a restaurant the other day, and that's exactly what I saw was older people, because we actually wind up doing what they're doing. But I'd like to pick you up on something that you said, which I thought was particularly interesting. It was that whole thing of the way that they use the social media, the fact of the competition that they're doing compared to older people, and the fact that we use social media in different ways. And by virtue of that, are you suggesting the way they use social media is actually more stressful than maybe older generations using social media?
I think so. I see for myself, I use social media because I need to keep in contact, because I want to keep in contact, but I'm not watching it 24/7. I'm truly not. I do go to bed at night, turn off my phone, no problem whatsoever. So the younger generation, for what I'm told and what they say to me, find it very difficult to do that. If I say to a younger person, and say to them, can you leave your phone outside your door, or bedroom door at night? They'll say to me, no, can't do that, Carol, because I need it for my alarm. And I'll sort of show them, say to them, well, actually, you can buy an alarm clock. So it's almost if you're so tied to this one thing. So therefore, there's a dependency that's coming in. We need to get some validation for who we are through our social media. Whereas I have to say, I've got past the stage of being validated through my social media. It's like, I am who I am. You don't get everything right. You give it your best shot. I'm still learning, still doing. But younger people very much see it as a slight on themselves if they haven't kept up totally with what's going on in the latest. And it's being left behind. The fear of being left out is very valid, is really very valid, of not doing the same thing, not doing the things that you should be doing or would like to be doing. Fear of missing out. FOMO is there.
Peer pressure has always been there, but it manifests itself in such a different way and such, a more stressful way. We've come a long way from the keeping up with the Joneses of the 70s, just having the right car on the driveway. This is a lot more intense. Just to really wrap up here, I'd love to get your take, especially with your work in stress, helping people as someone who's an expert in this space. What advice would you give people to help reduce stress to then increase and improve communication between generations?
Okay, I think this is key, absolutely key, and the work that you're doing, Alistair, is really a very important part in looking at the generations. I think key, first of all, we have to be talking, making sure we make the time to speak. Communications now don't just happen because we're caught up with our phones. So absolutely make the time to speak. do our very, very best to bridge the divide between the younger generation and the older generation. Let both of them recognize that you can do this reverse mentoring all the time. I can help you, you can help me. Why not get older people, younger people living with older people free? I heard that's been done in, I can't remember which country it is, but really just to help people. So therefore, you're really trying to ensure that the younger and the older people come together to show appreciation for who you are and what it is that you're doing. But key to everything is spending time together, away from the phone, away from the computer, making that time and making sure that you communicate. If there is a technology gap, which there may well be, so why not let the younger person help the older person, hopefully with patience, because we may not be as fast as they are. That's the challenge I have with my grandchildren. It's a bit like, for goodness sake, do it quickly. I think, okay, I'm doing my best. And the trouble is, they take it away from you and say, I can do this. I say, I want to learn. So really, in answer to your question, the one word is communicate. Communicate, to be aware of the challenges that there are for individual age groups, for individual generations. Communicate with them, making time for each other. Some of the things that I'm saying are quite straightforward. It's the 101 to communications, but we sometimes forget that. We start listening to somebody with a phone in our hands. We start listening to somebody while you're sitting on the computer. I mean, my doctor does that. You go into the doctor's surgery and be like, yes, how can I help you? And they look at the computer. Hello, my eye-to-eye contact is over here. So the open communications, let's get the reverse mentoring going. Let's get the youngsters here listening to the older generation to the younger generation. It's just we're all there together. Yes, are there different challenges that we all have? Yes, there are. But actually, let us all take a responsibility for the generations that we are and make sure that we can actually work alongside each other and enrich each other. Because I've got loads of stories to tell you, which the youngster may not have, which is fine because you'll get your own stories in due course. So therefore, what is it that you can say, any of you can say, to help each other?
Carol, that was brilliant. How beautifully summed up. I don't think I can top that. It's been great chatting. As always with these things, time goes really, really quickly and we suddenly realise we're out of time. If people would like to get hold of you, which I'm sure they will do because you are the expert when it comes to stress, whenever anybody talks to me about it and who should I speak to, Carol Spears is the person. How can people get hold of you?
Okay, probably my website's the easiest, which is either carolspearsgroup.co.uk or carolspears.co.uk. One's my corporate site and one is my speaker site, and it's Carol, Carole.
Don't forget the E. Carol, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. And we will put all of your details in the show notes as well so people can see them.